So, Stranger Things was a show that ran on Netflix starting in July of 2016, and it ended its 5 season run on New Year's Eve of 2025. And holy crap, everybody, I still cannot believe that the show is done. Like, it was almost 10 years that the show ran, and let me just say this, life changed a lot for many people, myself included. But regardless, Stranger Things started in July of 2016 and it ended New Year's Eve of 2025. Stranger Things starts off with the disappearance of this little kid named Will Byers, portrayed by Noah Schnapp, and the arrival of this little girl named Eleven, portrayed by Millie Bobby Brown, and along with them is this huge cast of characters: Mike, Dustin, Lucas, Hopper, Joyce. I mean, the cast of characters in the show is absolutely insane. But essentially, to give you all the gist of Stranger Things, this whole show is the chronicles in the 80s of all these characters of them growing up, particularly of Eleven and her relationship with not only Mike Wheeler, but also with Hopper, portrayed by David Harbour, amongst a plethora of things before it all comes to an end with a big final battle. And before I continue on with today's video, let's also start our conversation below. Have you guys seen Stranger Things? I mean, if you have not, please go check it out. But have you all seen Stranger Things yet? What did you think of the show? What were your favorite seasons? Or even better, how would you rank the 5 seasons of Stranger Things? Let me know below. I gotta tell you all, it is still blowing my mind that the show is done with, that it's over, because I legitimately remember back in 2016 when I was still in film school, and I don't tend to watch a lot of TV unless if I am heavily implored to watch that show, or unless if I have some type of incentive, or unless if I am highly recommended to watch that show, or if it looks good to me, I'm probably not going to watch that show. And Stranger Things was a show that I don't think I ever caught an advertisement. But the reason why I started watching the show all came down to one particular person. That was actually a friend of mine that I went to film school with, that was singing his praises about the show. And he was saying that if you're into essentially 80s nostalgia, horror, coming of age, drama, sci-fi mixed with H.P. Lovecraft, Stephen King, Steven Spielberg, that all this is essentially a love letter to people who love those specific things. And knowing how much I love those things, I started it that day, and guys, no joke, I literally binged the entire first season that day. If you have been following me since 2016, you will all know that I did review the first season, and once again, I do apologize that I didn't review seasons 2, 3, and 4 like I said I was going to in preparation following up going to season 5. It was only because I was very, very busy the last couple of months of the year. But I will tell you all a quick little review, quick little recap as to how I feel about each subsequent season of Stranger Things. But anyways, when it comes down to season 1 of Stranger Things, I love season 1 of Stranger Things. A great introduction to not only this entire world, this great little feeling of essentially feel like you're watching essentially a 10-hour season of almost a game of Dungeons and Dragons almost. But as far as season 1 of the show goes, Stranger Things season 1 is still without question a 5 out of 5 season for me. I mean, you want to talk about a great season 1 that not only does an incredible job of introducing you to this amazing world while slowly introducing you into all the elements that the fans, myself included, have come to know and love about the show, whether it comes down to the sci-fi elements, the horror elements, the coming of age moments, the 80s feel nostalgia, and also the works of Stephen King, Stanley Kubrick, Steven Spielberg, H.P. Lovecraft, people's love for Dungeons and Dragons. Season 1 was such a great introduction to all of that, and not only was it a great start, but the ending of season 1 and the cliffhanger leads on. I will never forget when I saw that cliffhanger, I just thought, oh god. Going into season 2, if you ask me, is almost as good as season 1 is, but there is one gigantic, glaring issue I have with season 2 that, to be fair, season 5 did rectify in some ways, which I will get into later on. But season 2 not only does such a great job of exploring the characters on a deeper level, it starts to take things at a more mature level, but not to mention it as well, you're getting introduced into more characters like, in particular, Max, Mad Max, portrayed by Sadie Sink, and also her brother portrayed by Dacre Montgomery, who I cannot believe has not become a bigger star because Dacre Montgomery is a brilliant actor. Now, if you ask me, there were two standouts of season 2, and it's easily Dacre Montgomery and Sadie Sink as their characters. Now, if there was one particular character that I thought got such a great arc, that was actually a relationship between Eleven and Hopper, portrayed by Millie Bobby Brown and David Harbour. I absolutely love the relationship in season 2 and how it culminates, by the way, in the season 2 finale, which, by the way, the season 2 finale reminded me so much of X-Men First Class that, no joke, I started tearing up. Like, the season 2 finale of Stranger Things season 2 is so damn good. I could not speak enough praises about this season, minus one glaring issue. And I think that the majority of Stranger Things fans can agree that the weakest link of season 2, without question, is the Lost Sisters episode, which I believe was that was episode 8 or 9 of season 2. But it was an episode that I could see what the Duffer Brothers wanted to do with this episode, but the entire time it always felt like a filler episode, not really strengthening the season as a whole. Like, it just felt like that 11 went off on a side quest rather than contributing to the whole story of season 2 and really to the entirety of the show for Stranger Things. Season 5 in some ways did rectify this, which I'll get on to once I talk about season 5. But regardless, season 2 not only does a great job of introducing more characters that make the story and the lore of Stranger Things just that much more interesting, but it deepens the relationship with the characters, better action, better visual effects. It almost is as good as season 1 is, but without that Lost Sisters episode, that one episode, season 2 would definitely be better than season 1, and for that reason alone, for me, Stranger Things season 2 is either a 4.5 or a 4.75. I'm gonna go a 4.5 only because the last Sisters episode just felt like such a detour from what is in season 2 a phenomenal piece of storytelling. Moving on to Stranger Things season 3. Stranger Things season 3, believe it or not, for me, is actually my least favorite season of the show. Now, that's not to say that I find this season bad. As a matter of fact, I still think the season is a great season. But if I were to rank the seasons, this would definitely be my least favorite season, only because season 3 felt not only very repetitive compared to the first 2 seasons, where season 1 was this great introduction, season 2 did such a great job of deepening everything, exploring everything further, introducing new characters, just deepening everything and just doubling down what made that first season so great. While season 3 is doing exactly what season 2 did, season 3 just felt like to me that even though it had great storytelling and it does introduce more thing with the Russians, Alexei, who I loved Alexei, that character is great. And the introduction of the Starcourt Mall along with Maya Hawke's character, Rockin' Robin in season 5 especially. But if you were to ask me, the best things about season 3 were how they explored the romances going on, especially between not only Lucas and Max, but particularly with Eleven and Mike. And especially with how Will was getting frustrated that no one wanted to play D&D anymore. They was going like, what did you expect, man? Like, did you really think we're gonna spend all of our time in my basement just playing D&D when you know that things were gonna change? Like, dude, we've gotten older. There are females that have come into our lives that we really, really like, and it's not our fault that we have decided to spend more time with them than just playing D&D all the time. And even the season 3 finale is a wonderful finale, even though it results in the death of, spoiler alert, by the way, I'm just gonna put this right here. I'm just gonna give you a couple of seconds before I keep going. You've been warned. Dacre Montgomery's character gets killed off in the season 3 finale. I think it's in the finale. To be fair, I have not seen the entirety of season 3. literally since it came out, but I do remember that Dacre Montgomery's character does die. And although Stranger Things Season 3 might seem repetitive in terms of the things that it's exploring, Season 3 of Stranger Things is regardless a wonderful season, even though if you were to ask me, it is the weakest season of Stranger Things. Still a great season. It still was a great season. I was still engaged, don't get me wrong, but by the end I just thought, I liked it, just didn't love it. Season 4 was pretty much what I wanted from Season 3, but even better. I mean, oh my god, Season 4, absolutely incredible piece of not only television, but storytelling. But anyway, one of the reasons why is without question, Eddie freaking Munson portrayed by Joseph Quinn. Oh my god, I loved Eddie Munson so much. Season 4 does everything I wanted to do. It triples, matter of fact, it quadruples down on everything that I love. But unlike Season 3, where it felt like it was going on familiar ground already, Season 4 not only covers brand new ground with introducing more elements, but also showcasing, without question, by far, to me, either a top 5 or a top 3 episode of Stranger Things, which is Dear Billy, I believe episode 4 of Season 4. Dear Billy is without question not only one of my favorite episodes of Stranger Things, but really one of my favorite shows in television that I have seen. By the way, that one little thing between Maya Hawke and Joseph Quinn's character, when Maya Hawke's like, we need music, and Eddie Munson says, this is music. By the way, Robert Englund's appearance in episode 4, cherry on top. If there are two things in particular I want to spend a bit more time with, one of which being Vecna, portrayed by Jamie Campbell Bower. Oh my god, what a performance by Jamie Campbell Bower. Vecna is one scary ass motherfucker. I mean, oh my god. The last thing that I must mention when it comes down to Season 4 is that finale. And by the way, for those of you wondering, it's not just because Master of Puppets was played by Eddie freaking Munson when he was saying, Chrissy, this is for you, and doing, that gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. Before I continue on, I gotta tell you guys a quick story here. When this episode came out, when I was still working at Flick Direct, my old boss was saying, Austin, drop what you're doing right now and watch the finale right now. I think I was in progress editing a video, but I was like, okay, I'll get onto it right now. I started watching the episode, and the moment I heard those guitar strings, I heard the guitar going off, my jaw dropped, and in all caps, I immediately texted my old boss, holy shit. What an amazing season finale. I could not give Season 4 enough praise. Without question, Season 4 of Stranger Things is easily a 5 out of 5 season. And still to this day, it goes back and forth between Season 4 and Season 1 because both of those seasons not only do such a great job of introducing new things, exploring the characters, going deeper into themes, but both season finales are they're just that great. And now it is time to talk about Stranger Things Season 5. Now, once again, I'm not going to go over every single episode. I'm only going to go over the things that I loved about Volume 1, the things I loved about Volume 2, to which it seems like I've been defending Volume 2 a lot. And then I'll be talking about the finale of the show, so here we go. When it comes on to Volume 1, the things I loved about Volume 1 were this. I loved Holly. Holly's character in Volume 1, really going throughout the entire season, I thought were great. Jamie Campbell Bower once again as Vecna, and especially in the finale, was brilliant, but in Volume 1 it was great. But the thing that I loved more than anything about Volume 1 was the reveal that Will Byers actually has powers. They refer to him as the Sorcerer. Oh my god, that moment. By the way, that moment where he just goes like this, wiping the blood away before it cuts to black, that was badass. Then going into Volume 2, to which once again, it seems like I'm going to be defending, even though, okay, full disclosure, did I love Volume 2? No, I didn't love Volume 2 like I love Volume 1, but it definitely seems like I enjoyed Volume 2 way more, especially when it comes down to one scene to which I truly do not get the backlash for. For those of you who have seen it, you all know that it's Will Byers' coming out scene where he tells people, hey, you know what? I don't like girls. I'm gay. If you are paying attention, you will all know that everything leading up was building up to that reveal. It was building up to that. I actually do not get why people are saying it was quote unquote, like, get out of here with that nonsense. But to me, the best scene in Volume 2 is without question when Steve is trying to go up the staircase with that ladder, and Dustin's like, stop trying to get yourself killed. Look, if you go up there, you're going to die. I can't have it happen again. I won't let it happen. Now you just hug Steve. By the way, before season 5 started, I have so many theories about the characters that were going to die, and I was talking to many people going like, you know who I think might perish, who I might think will bite the dust? Steve. And everyone who I talked to was basically telling me this.
You on drugs?
The crying that would have gone on, especially myself included, would have definitely been strong. That said, if I were to give my one complaint about Volume 2, sure, the pacing is a little dragged out sometimes, but I was so engaged that even those moments where the pacing was a little sluggish, I didn't notice so much, but when it did happen, I just thought, okay, wrap it up. And now it is time to dive into the finale of Stranger Things. And this is where I'll definitely go into more spoiler-heavy details about the finale of Stranger Things. So once again, now if you've made it this far, and if you have not seen Stranger Things, please go watch it. It really is one of my favorite shows out there. And it is a show that not only started great, but I'm going to say this, it ended beautifully. It did not do of Game of Thrones. I will always talk about how I dislike the end of Game of Thrones. The first hour of the Stranger Things finale, I thought was a very thrilling hour. It had me engaged on the edge of my seat, along with the characters. I kept thinking, okay, who's gonna perish? Who's gonna bite the dust? Who's gonna die? And you know what? I will say this. While the finale may have played it safe, sure, because I can guarantee a lot of people were expecting people to die, as was I. And actually my old boss was going like, I thought it was going to be a bloodbath. I'm glad it was not, because I think that the Duffer Brothers wanted a happy ending for everybody, even though you can clearly tell in the final hour that they do have some scars psychologically. You know, I gotta tell you all, I hated Derek at first, but man, when he told Vecna, suck my fat one, I was clapping. That final battle I thought was so cool, was so well done, even though I will say my one issue with the battle was that I wished it was longer. I feel like it ended a bit too soon, but I still think that the final battle was great, especially knowing that Joyce that Winona Ryder, who, by the way, phenomenal performance throughout the entire series, along with David Harbour. Really, I should say this right now. There isn't a single person that gave a bad performance. Everybody throughout the show was great. I just want to give the roses to everybody in the cast, because I genuinely thought that everybody here was great. But then we get on to the final hour, and to me, the final hour, or in this case, the epilogue of Stranger Things, was everything I could have asked for, especially when it came down to a satisfying and emotionally satisfying closure to the series. As far as deaths go, I had a feeling 11 would die. That final scene, while they're playing D&D and Mike being the optimist like me that he is, and saying, look, this is what's going to happen to everybody, which I believe is going to happen to everybody. He's telling essentially one more final story. And then I'm saying, well, the mage, no one knows what could have happened to her. We saw her probably get perished, but I like to believe that this happened and that she is still out there somewhere. Even though in my heart of hearts, I know that 11 is dead. She is absolutely gone. I still love that they went the optimistic direction, say, you know what, hey, even though I know she's gone, I want to believe in my soul and my heart that she is still out there somewhere. And I absolutely loved that. By the way, I gotta jump back really quick because I have to talk about this scene, and as Dustin's valedictorial speech at the high school graduation. That scene was just I loved that speech. I loved that scene. And the moment that he was saying, well, I'm still pissed off, he takes out that thing, revealing the Hellfire Club Lives t-shirt, taking that diploma and flipping off the principal, I was thinking, man, Eddie Munson would be proud of you, man. Now, with that being said, in terms of my issues with Season 5, one of my biggest issues with Season 5 was that they introduced Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor, the Terminator, for God's sakes. And they didn't do anything with Linda Hamilton. Like, she is in there, and I feel like she leaves screen only to come back. She leaves and comes back once again. And by the way, once that first hour ended, she's never seen again afterwards. And also going on to one more thing that is involving the return, finally, of one of the sisters, of Callie, or of Kali. I don't know how you pronounce her name, but she was in episode 8 of season 2, an episode that I thought was not going to have any sort of thing going forward in the show, but they finally brought it back in volume 1. They finally brought back a character from that season. With that said, though, it felt like that they brought it back as way of, because the Duffer Bros were going like, oh yeah, that's right, well, we haven't done anything with that episode or anything continuity-wise, so we might as well bring her back and see what happens with her. I felt like that Kylie's character didn't really get a whole lot to do, minus a really great moment between her, Hopper, and Eleven. Season 5, the finale in particular, was a wonderful finale. First half, first hour was great. Second half built up to, for me, a very emotionally satisfying ending and a great closure with that ending of Mike seeing his sister and his sister's friends playing D&D downstairs in the basement. It was a great way, a full circle moment, going back to the very first episode. I loved it personally. It made me tear up. And by the way, knowing that they chose Heroes by David Bowie, and apparently, get this, Joe Keery, who plays Steve Harrington, was the one who suggested that song, which, by the way, applause to my good sir. I think as a whole, season 5 was a great season and the finale was wonderful. Going on to the last thing, and that is ranking all 5 seasons of Stranger Things. Now, before I say this is probably going to change again, but if I were to rank the seasons of Stranger Things, right now, I have to say this. At this moment, this is for me how the seasons go. Starting off at number 1 right now is season 4. At rank number 2, season 1. At rank 3, it's right now between season 2 and season 5. But I will say this. I think right now it's season 5 because the finale was so beautifully done. And then at number 4, it's season 2, mainly because of the Lost Sisters episode. And then in last place, it's season 3. But yes, that is currently how I'll rank the seasons. Again, it could definitely change, and it probably will after I finish recording this. And with that said, it's over, guys. Stranger Things is over. I cannot believe a show that started when I was in film school. I was in college when I started this show. And then almost 10 years later, it's over. It's crazy. I hope you all enjoyed my review of Stranger Things and going over the series finale. If so, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. If you guys want to see my previous 2 videos, please click right there or right there. And of course, until my next review or video goes live, I will see you all next time.